So there's something about, for process for me, I love getting hooked on a script to begin with. I love obsessing about it. I love seeing the play in my head over and over and over again. And then I love getting rid of all of that and letting the play do its thing. A friend of mine said, "Why Rex? It's such a monster." It's because it is a monster. I mean, I'm fascinated by that time period, for one, but two, it is a huge piece of theater. I mean, for actors, it's a really wonderful script to get into. There are enormous character challenges. It's got some wonderful things to say about gender roles. It's got wonderful things to say about personal expression. Rex actually means king, so the title Elizabeth Rex means Elizabeth the King.
And you will accept any role offered.
I will, yeah.
Lines, no lines, doesn't matter?
Yep, doesn't matter.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players.
Then the whining schoolboy with his satchel,
Sighing like furnace, with a woeful ballad made to his mistress's eyebrow.
And his big manly voice, turning again toward a childish treble.
Audition process is always fun and scary because you never know what you're going to get. For me, I'm truly looking at it. Do they understand what they're saying, and does it affect them somehow? Does it change the world that they're living in to have to say these words? Generally, the people you're calling back, everybody's capable of doing the role at that point. You're just trying to mix and match and see who works with who, the whole idea of chemistry. I don't know if I have ever cast a show exactly the way that I thought it was going to go.
Learn your lines, Master Edmund. Which lines? Ask him!
Whoa, what? No, look. Yeah. Next to you and Jack Burby, she's the best we've got. I'm just going to the side.
Okay. Here, right? Got it. Terry, sweet Beatrice.
When it comes to blocking, there's certain techniques that you can use. I tend to like to spread out the stage as much as I can, so I like to have stuff happening over here and then the audience focus thrown over here. And part of your job as a director in blocking is also to make sure the audience is focused on the right thing. People should know what's going on if you took out all of the dialogue by the way that the actors are moving. After the blocking and the process of getting these guys to feel comfortable in the world is getting them just literally to talk to each other. It's all about listening at that point. It's all about reacting to the world you're living in and getting rid of your own plan. The scene's never about you. It's always about the other person.
The bear was baited, madam, almost to death by dogs.
Your definition of excess surprises me, Pygmy, when you gave 4 madams to 3 majesties.
Whenever I stage a fight, one of the first things I'll tell the actors is a fight scene is a love scene. It's all about technically protecting your partner, making sure that you're making eye contact first, and then your eye going to where your target is. Nobody does anything until we made eye contact and everybody knows that we're ready for the violence at that point.
Tell me, what's it like to play a woman and be one at the same time? You can give your mistress lessons. Oh, too late.
Our dress rehearsals are incredibly important in the sense of getting people now to live in all of the other stuff that we've only said that they're going to live in. Now we add costume pieces. Now we add stuff that you have to deal with that you didn't have to deal with before. We just came out of having a character that wears bells through the entire production. Well, now he's got to deal with that. You know, we were dealing with makeup that we had never used before. We are dealing with wigs that are falling off. We're dealing with stuff that, you know, our lead has got her own hair, which is a beautiful head of hair that we've got to put a bald cap on top of that and then make stringy hair on top of that, and then something else on top of that, and then the wig on top of that. It's, you know, you're dealing with about 4 elements to make that scene work. So those are the kind of things that again, we dealt with it. There was no explosion. Nobody caught on fire. I was really happy about it. Nobody died. So it was actually a pretty good dress rehearsal.
In costume.
Have we a costume?
Have we a costume?
Have we a costume?
Yes!
Yes, we have a costume.
The majority of our costumes came from Interlaken, which were beautiful, and that's the basis of the show. Then the jewels, our bear costume and the Queen's costume came from Stratford. You know, we had obsessed and looked for a month or so to bear costumes, and I'd set a bunch of budget aside, just in case we had to build one. And then finally we said, let's just call them and see what they did. And so we called them, and they said, use our costume. And then they said, we've also got the Queen's dress if you want that. Like, yeah, we would like that. Thank you very much. And I've talked about that. You know, it really does. It kills me. It chokes me up that a theater that size would collaborate with a theater our size, because they don't rent out for weekends. They don't rent out for, you know, parties. But again, if you're a theater and if we're all trying to create art, they will bend over backward. And it was just an incredible experience that way.
Master Ned, playing your games on Toddy again. You know he's always doing that.
Get up, Ned.
Rise!
And the dear bear's name?
Harry.
Yeah, you see none of me specs?
No, Toddy.
I think the show was actually an incredible success. We had some really, truly wonderful performances, and then we had some really remarkable performances. Catherine as Elizabeth, remarkable performance. I mean, that is one of the bravest, most well-executed performances I think I've ever seen. Nanj, exactly the same way. For Nanj to step into that role and completely out of his comfort zone to do that. And then Alex as our Shakespeare was the personal kind of gift because he was the wild card. I had worked with him, but I hadn't worked with him in a while. And to watch him slide into that thing. You know, you put that good of quality of actors on stage, everybody else is going to kind of step up to it, which they did. And I think you have to go into it with a great deal of faith going, the play's going to present itself. And it's not, you know, it's not the whole thing, it'll work out in the end because it always does, you know. I mean, magic does not happen without a great deal of work involved with it. Technically, I couldn't have been happier with the way we pulled it off. Sound design, beautiful. Light design, beautiful. But for me, process-wise, I always love that turn in the play where it says, now this is what I want it to be. And then to watch actors buy into that and watch actors become everything that you never had envisioned, right? That is a beautiful thing as well. You know, you didn't create the child, you're just there watching it being born.